Hi, this is Wally Kern with Supreme Gecko, and here it is, the big reveal. Are you ready for this? Do you have any guesses? If you have a guess, throw them in the comments below. Are you ready? Let's go ahead and do the reveal. Crystal, do you want to help me? All right, I'll switch places with you. Do it slow. Go ahead. Monty, I'll take what's behind the curtain. Okay, go ahead. You're doing a great job. This whole process started with a post on Facebook. $30 for a 12 by 12 by 18 Exo Terra tank. What a deal. So I headed to the store hoping I was the only one that saw this deal. This behind me is our cave gecko rack. I put this together probably about 6 or 7, 8 years ago, and it's functioned for us very well. I've had several different cave geckos, Gardiosaurus, in this rack. Probably about 6 or 7 different types of adults, and it's also functioned for us as a baby rack as well. Well, this rack has served its purpose, but it's coming down in the next couple of days. We're going to replace it with a completely different rack, and we'll use that rack for different animals. We have our cave geckos in different locations now, in different enclosures in different locations, but we're going to use this space for a completely different purpose. So make sure that you keep watching, and let's see where we're going with this rack. Nanette's going to go ahead and take down these tubs. She's taking the dirt and throwing that away, and then taking all the decor and putting them in extra buckets. Crystal will join her shortly here and help out. I have no idea where I am. I'm probably off watching a movie or something. I mentioned before that I raised a lot of cave geckos in these tubs. It's a little bit difficult seeing the stand come down, but I know it's going to be repurposed for some really exciting projects in the future for Supreme Gecko. As Crystal and Nanette finishes up here, I'm just thinking, what am I going to do with all of those extra tubs? I'm sure I'll find a purpose for them sometime in the near future. I'm really fortunate to have such a great helper like Crystal. She really loves the animals and loves helping out downstairs. Well, it looks like Team Supreme Gecko, which is really Nanette and Crystal, as I was busy doing some other stuff, is done they're done taking all of the tanks off of this stand. And then we're going to take the tools that I store up on top away, and then we'll take the bottom storage containers and put them somewhere else as well. Then we'll start tearing this stand down. Let's watch. Okay, we're all set to take the stand down. Crystal has the screwdriver attachment in, the screwdriver, and she's going to start unscrewing these. Hopefully the stand doesn't fall apart on her. Okay, go ahead, Crystal.
Almost. Did it?
I heard it fall. Good job. Let me see that first screw. There it is. Good job. There's our first screw out. This should take just a few minutes to tear this whole stand down. So I'm going to go ahead and put the camera on automatic here and probably speed it up a bit. And we'll watch it as the stand comes down. One thing that I'll mention here real quick. If I had to do this whole stand over again, you're fine, Crystal, go ahead. If I had to do this whole stand over again, I would brace it far better. You can see that the middle is bowing a little bit, and that's because we had dirt in these tubs for the cave geckos, and it was just too much weight on this stand. I would brace the stand against the floor, go all the way down with that bracing, because because it wasn't on the floor, it allowed the middle to bow down. That's a big thing that I would change, or have changed, in the designs of the racks that I've built since this. But this one's coming down. I wanted to make the comment that Crystal has really been a super helper while we deconstruct this stand. But we used all the precautions, all the safety measures that we possibly could. We didn't allow her to be near the stand when we got to the end where the shelves actually came down. But she was such a huge helper. The stand is coming down pretty quick at this point. We only have a few shelves left. Once it gets down to this level, it's so much easier. Well, the stand is down. We still have all this wood and we'll dispose of it. But let me just go ahead and show you this area real quick. This is a really small area, but it just works out perfect. Here's our closet. We keep our shipping materials in there and excess supplies. Here's the wall that we're working with. That's about 80 inches high. And it's just as we walk downstairs and turn right. Here's a better view of this area. So we have about 16, 17, 18 inches of distance from the wall to be comfortably able to pass through this hallway. And we're going to use those to put up a stand that's going to be about 14 inches away from the wall. That's our next step. Well, we're all set with the wood. I went out and got 10 2x2s, and this is going to be enough for this stand. It really is. With the way that we're going to support these, it's going to be perfect. I've measured them out. Let's get to cutting. At this point, all the wood's been cut, but guess what? This floor is way uneven. That back leg is probably a whole half of an inch higher than the rest of the stand. So what we'll need to do is shim that back leg to make sure that it's supported for the stand. I anticipated a little leveling problems with this stand, but not this much. But the shimming will certainly help. And again, this stand will be very well supported. Now I just need to figure out how to get up off the floor. I wanted to point out at this point that the 10 pieces of wood cost about 20 bucks. So that stand total cost was under $20. And here you can see we went crazy and didn't purchase one tank, we purchased 15. So this stand will be 3 rows of 5 tanks per row. Total cost for the Exo-Terras, under $450 for 15 tanks. And as you can see, this stand is very well supported. Up until this point, this whole process has been a vision of 15 tanks on a stand. Now the fun part begins. I can actually put the tanks on the stand to see how it's all going to look. And of course, we have a mess to clean up. Did you notice at that price, this isn't the empty Exo Terra, it's actually the bamboo forest, which includes a bamboo stand, a temperature gauge, a humidity gauge, coir fiber, and other materials. The next step is to install the lights. We're going to use 3 lights, 1 per row, and this is a light that I purchased a few months ago for this purpose. It's a 4500K and it's just a perfect LED light. We'll throw that light on a timer and we'll be all set. Then that's removing the last of the bamboo forest accessories. We won't be using any of these pieces in our tanks. About a week ago on setting up my very first bioactive enclosure. It's a lot of fun, and I wanted to share a couple of the steps here in this video as well. Here are some of the materials that we used in this bioactive enclosure, including the plants, including worm castings and jungle mix for the substrate. This is a basic setup. I used a cork flat for the background, but it's very, very functional and looks really nice too. I threw on some cork bark on the background. I added the top of a soda bottle so that I could access any excessive water from the drainage layer. This isn't needed, but it certainly is helpful. The pop bottle top can be taken off, a hose can be inserted, and excess water can be drained. We attached this pop bottle plastic to the tank using silicone. Next, we added the drainage layer material, and for that, I used a high-fired clay material that works out really well for hatching gecko eggs as well. A layer of about 3/4 of an inch goes down. We make sure that that pop bottle top is still visible so that we can take that off. And next we put in the screen separator between the drainage layer material and the soil. And that soil is a blend of the jungle mix and the worm castings and leaves. This is going to make a perfect substrate for the bioactive critters that we'll add here, like springtails and isopods. We're adding the substrate to make it higher in the back and lower in the front, and adding it to be about 3 to 4 inches. We found a bunch of plants at our local greenhouse that were between $2 to $3, and we just had a blast buying them for these bioactive enclosures. And at this point, we're taking all the dirt off of the roots and planting them in our tank. As I mentioned in the earlier video, I really don't have any experience with plants, but this is going to be a really fun process of learning. We'll see how they grow. I'll certainly do another video in a few months to show everyone how they do. But again, this is going to be a fun learning process. And now the step that makes it bioactive, adding springtails and isopods. And that completes the bioactive setup. Let's take a tour of the tank and see how it looks. No animals added at this point. That's something that will come probably in a month or so after we let everything settle in and the isopods and the springtails establish themselves. Then we'll start thinking about the animals that we'll add. Monty, I'll take what's behind the curtain. Okay, go ahead. You're doing a great job. Come on and join me. Thank you, Crystal. And here it is. What do you think? Let's go ahead and get our first look at the full setup. And I'll try not to blind you with the light. Up on top, I have the basic setups. Again, this is 5 tanks on each row. And I've set them up again very, very basically. A few plants, some sphagnum moss, and a piece of cork bark. The middle row we'll be utilizing right away. And they're set up a little bit in more detail. And the bottom row we probably won't be using for a month or two. So just have some bromeliads just to get them started. 15 tanks, 5 ready to go right now, 5 very, very close to going, and 5 ready when I need them. This was a lot of work to put together, but I really enjoyed the process. It's not done by any means. I still have a lot to learn about the plants, about the setup. We'll see how these plants grow, and obviously I have to add animals. But thank you very much for watching. Crystal, do you want to leave everybody with a comment?
Give it a big thumbs up.
Thanks, Crystal. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and hit the notification all. We'll see you next week.